Hello and welcome to this playthrough of Factorio, where I am building a megabase on Earth. I am using a mod, Cities of Earth, focusing on the Old World Hemisphere. My goal is to reach 10,000 science per minute with a rail-based design. The resources are set to maximum size and density, and biters and pollution are turned off. The mod list is shown in the description, as well as a link to my Twitch channel, High Speed. Please come visit me there. Questions and comments are welcome. Thank you for watching. Yes, here we are. I don't remember what I was doing. So after this research finishes, I will probably start the rocket launching again. I'm also interested in testing that idea, but I can't quite do it. I am researching something that doesn't use military, so it's not here. Utility science is relatively stable. Hi, Mango. So in my design sessions, I've been trying to figure out how I can do things. So I had a couple of ideas. I was looking at this thing about if I had trains unloading, and this is... Oh, well, that's a function of mix it up. And just check to see if a person is a subscriber and it's their first time chatting is the event. Thank you. Thing is, I was toying around with, can you go with no chests? Because I've got 60,000 inserters, right? But I think this is just as many inserters. 12 and, well, 64 inserters there. And 38 here. 38 and 32, so... yeah, the fueling ones. So I don't think this design saves me any... Oh, that it greets me to my stream? Oh, yeah. I could set up a filter for that, but I just have not. So I don't think that going... with 2 trains feeding the same belt is going to save me anything, because the goal is to save me on inserters. Now, the reason I want to save on inserters is because I've got, I don't know why it says, I've got, what, does that mean 20,000 active or 20,000 total? Oh, for you, back to the labs? I'm happy with the design I did. You inspired me to create a 4 train for my next generation of rocket silos and research. So I have a design that has a white science train that fits in here now. All of this is the same, but it unloads. The change I had to make to the rocket silo was significant. I just made the train longer. And what I ended up doing is changing the unloaders to come here. And then they go and load 2 sides of the train each. And I significantly decreased how much each wagon can hold. But the general shape is the same. But the belts are out differently, and low density structures unload in the middle now, or they will in the future. And it's got 4 cargo wagons and 8 locomotives, so that it's closer in size to this, and I don't have to do a bunch of belting. And I like it. I'm looking forward to using it. So I was mulling over the suggestion from chat to use more trains and no chests, because it would cut excuse me. It would cut the number of inserters down. But you're going to have that gap where there's no train unloading, and that would cause a loss of production. So the conversation was, well, can you have enough trains here that they are continuously unloading? And that's what I designed here, but it ends up being just as many inserters. And a train doesn't hold as much as a chest. Yeah. So if there were a bufferless version of this, now that's one option. The challenge that this causes is, how do I get trains in quick enough so that they don't run out of buffer space? Because if you assume that I'm going to have some sort of buffer stacker sort of thing like what I've got now, like this has only got 12 belt buffer, roughly. 12 belt and 7 unders, so it's got about a 50 tile buffer. That's not a lot. I don't know how long a blue belt will push that. Probably a couple seconds, but I don't think I can get a train in and out in a couple seconds to prevent that from running out. Yeah, but I've designed most of my stuff to consume at full capacity, but So if we keep the current design that I have and we make it bufferless, I would have to have that stacker the boxes don't buffer up. You mean the you mean the assemblers? Well, that's just it. I'm considering how would I design a bufferless setup, regardless of what the headpiece looks like, regardless of what the stacker and fuel system look like. Yeah, my buffer chests increase. Well, what happens is the buffers fill up and then the trains just stop going there. We look at military, I mean, these coal trains are sitting here because they've got nowhere to unload. I'm not using military. Let's look at this. These chests all eventually fill up. Because if they didn't fill up, then these lights would stay on. So the trend on these chest contents is in the upward direction. So I'm oversupplying. I mean, that's what I intend to do in all cases, is oversupply. I don't know what it is with me suddenly having to clear my throat. Yeah, that's what it means. It's a very, very thin time frame. But you take a look at this, for example. You see how these are empty. So this is the scenario, right? I have no buffer right now. And this is something I'm working on fixing. But this is going to run out before this chest can get there. And I have expanded this, so anyhow. So this is going to run out. This is a scenario where another train is not ready to go because I'm not producing enough. And so it's not going to be a good comparison because that's going to stop working. Here's utility science. This one is gradually going up. We see the numbers are 1.6 and 1.5. And it's requesting 2 because half of them have emptied out. And I don't have a balancer design for this yet. And I wish I did. I mean, I might just have to make these taller so that I can get an inline balance, you know, consumption balancer in here somewhere. Because this is just buggering me. Well, yeah. This tells me that inserters are not running, because I mean, I've had, when it's really sluggish, my inserters are 11 and 12. Little late in the day for this base. Yes, I don't plan to do it on this base. I plan to test it in the design editor and then see if I can make it work. But the overproduction part is actually really challenging, and I'm not sure I want to go there. But I am thinking of some sort of, well, there's a couple things I need to solve for the next generation of the MegaBase in a box, in a book. How many inserters I have active. I'm going to convert it to, okay, well, here we go. Let's turn all this stuff on. Maybe not. I don't have enough of these being made. As soon as I start this, purple science is going to fall off because I don't have enough. I'm already... Purple science is just going to collapse or stop working because I don't have enough here. It's going to catch up. But these are going to ask for more in 500 consumed, right? So this one's going to go down, and then the light's going to turn on. To be honest, I haven't seen that train loading and unloading is a critical element in these base designs. When I saw from Tumbling Satellite, when he said you only need to unload on half the train, because everybody like, oh, gotta load both sides of the train. Not really, because the trains fill up and unload at a relatively stable pacing, and you consume at a relatively stable pacing for what you're consuming or producing. So having the maximum speed for loading and unloading the train hasn't shown to be an important element. Just consistent. The places where it might matter is if I was doing this. But like you've pointed out, I'm producing one blue belt, and we've tested feeds exactly 3 at max capacity. It can feed 3 inserters. But we do with 4 because this little bit of buffer does increase or decrease the speed at which this train loads. Now, I could send this and load it on both sides. That's a design option I could do here. I don't know that having 8 chests loading here and having this thing load up twice as fast is of any benefit, because when the network is running correctly, we have this situation. The train's just sitting here. It didn't matter how long. I find 2 conditions occur when it comes to my provider stations. Either they're overly full, they're overproducing, or I need more and they're underproducing, but the limiting factor is not the train transfer speed. The limiting factor is the plate production speed. Same here. Okay, so let's say I had, just theoretical, let's say I had designed a system where I could load 8 wagons onto this train, but I still only had 1 belt of feed. The goal being that the train would get in, get loaded, and get out as quickly as possible. Is that train moving such a long distance that its turnaround time is really important? I don't think so. Because if these chests were full and this train could just load up and go, then the way I have this set up, it wouldn't have mattered, because it's still got to wait for it to load up. But let's take one of its feeds. I've got 2 red circuit trains that feed it. This train's full and ready to go. And its partner train is also full and ready to go. Right? But neither one of them are being called here because the buffer is full. So, okay, so now the buffer is low. And so let's pretend that I had dual unloaders on this, which would be dual buffers, which I don't want, but... Or even if I took out the buffers. Let's say that I have the space to put another set of unloaders here and feed it, kind of like this design. So if I had this design here and this thing could just totally crank out a wagon and empty it out really quickly. Wouldn't much matter. It's not going to consume it that quickly. And the big thing is this train, because I'm using the neighborhood design, this train doesn't need to unload and get out really quickly. Now, if I were using a bufferless design, right, I'm just sort of proving myself that I don't need dual unloader. But what about dual loader? Right? So if we take a look at this red circuit thing, would it benefit me to have this train be able to load? Now it's not going to fill the chests any faster. It's going to spread out across, instead of 4 chests, it's going to spread out across 8 chests. Assume that I... And what I would probably do is cut it down to 6. But maybe it stays at 8. I don't know. But anyhow, if I were to put 4 on one side and 4 on the other, so if this train were to come here and have dual loaders, right, it would have the same amount of materials ready because it's not going to produce it any faster. So they're across all of them, it's going to be 6K, right? So this chest is going to have 6K and that chest is going to have 6K. Well, each of these is going to be 3K at this point. Right now they've got 6K in them. They cap out at like 8K. So let's say that it was at average capacity and it was like 6K. Then these will all have 3K in them, and then the northern ones would all have 3K in them. So when the train got here, I'd have 8 inserters swinging there to load this train up. And so then this train would get loaded up in half the time. But that train loading up in half the time isn't going to get me anything. Yeah, I don't understand how it would be smaller, but I was just thinking of, would loading trains faster be of any benefit? And I can't see that it would be. Oh yeah, that's on the unloading side. I'm not thinking unloading, I'm thinking loading. I'm kind of bouncing all around, I'm sorry. Bit of an idiot this morning. Mostly what I'm doing this morning is looking to see if I'm producing enough prod mods to be able to support purple science. So this is half full, which means that it's got 8,000 on it. The problem is that it's going to come here instead. No, it's not going to come here yet. I really miss having colors here. So that one went from about half full, because we are using purple, right? Yeah. So that one went from about half full to full. So the other question I was wondering, I'm told that the expensive part is inserters unloading onto belt. Yeah, sorry, I was reading about UPS. So this one's 80% done. You don't want to pull into the station unless the load is ready or there's space to unload. Yeah. Well, I'm breaking that rule in a couple of places, but that's about it. Well, what I was mulling over was some way to measure the belts in a different spot and only activate those inserters if that was 0. But I don't think I can do that. Not with this many stations. I mean, I've got 1,000 stations serving. The only ones I care about really are the ones for research, because they're the ones that are crazy busy. Well, these aren't running. There's not a ton of them. The question is Purple B asking for... Okay, so this is doing well. You're still making purple, yeah. This is just over 3K. That's going to kick down and request a train soon. But this train is on its way. All right, I'm confident that this will work-ish. Because it's going to get a second set into here, so this isn't going to completely run out. Because that train's on its way here. And this one hasn't dropped below 3K. As soon as it does, the next train will come here because it's closer. Of course, the other thing is, wait, why are you routing here? God dang it. Oh, it's you? Did you reroute to that one? Oh, you son of a gun, you. You son of a dog biscuit. That sucks. So this one's going to run out pretty much. I'm not going to interfere with it because I want to know how the system operates. This is not good. I'm still seeing double lights here. I would like to find another train unloading solution that doesn't involve a hard counter of time, but doesn't add circuits. And I can't do the inactivity thing, and I really can't do the... Because I would love to be able to unload the train faster. Maybe. Do I need to? Well, It's the hard-coded time frame that bothers me. Because if there's nothing more for it to do, or like in this case, it's only going to unload one inserter at a time. Because I'm consuming at an odd rate. I mean, I still get a full belt and I still get full consumption. But the train transfer part, and again, does that even matter? Because it's not like, even if this train were to sit here until it were empty, right? Which I could now do because I've got everything balanced and fixed. And maybe that's something I should do, is because it would save the train from going back and forth, and it would give the other ones a chance to buffer up. But what'll happen is, at some point, half of these things are going to fill up, right? Because this is 6.4K, and that's 192. And similarly, these are the opposite. That's 6.4, and that's 200. So at some point, this 6.4K is going to be full, and this is not. And the result is that this is going to keep working, and this won't, and this thing will get half workload, and the train will probably never actually empty out here. So this one's not sufficiently buffered up. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to get a lane balancer. But you see, trying to figure out how to get a lane balancer in there. And actually, in all honesty, what might work here, is to put an inserter right there. Or to go with a different design entirely, but so I'm fine with the fact that my downstream belt is full. I know that's working correctly. The challenge comes in, and maybe I got a moot point here. Maybe I don't care. But I have seen where these get full to the point where only half of them work. But in this case, the storage gets so empty because it's being consumed that it doesn't. So that's 4.3K and that's 7.3K. So this one's going to fill up pretty quick. And if I were to go with a lane balancer instead of this thing, so here's an example. This train's fully empty. I've got 3 loader stations that feed it. So trains with this stop, 3. So I've got 3 trains that feed it. And none of those are willing to accept the train. So they haven't produced enough material to accept the train. Okay, that's fine. This is only wanting single lamp, so it's not critical. But it fully unloaded in 90 seconds. This one's probably going to not fully unload, but even with a 90-second time, it was fully unloaded, and its sources did not produce enough material with the other demands on it to require that the train go back, or to allow the train to be able to go back and get reloaded. So unloading faster isn't going to benefit me. That's what I was trying to figure out. Unloading faster doesn't benefit me. Hey, Dunyan. Yeah, I don't know if the FPS matters to me that much. So this is still 3.7, so then the next one will definitely go here, but this one's kind of empty. What I'm working on is to see if prod mods are being produced in sufficient quantities to support purple science, and if it is, then I'll fire this beast up. So to finish my thought on that, even though I sometimes am only unloading, like what's going on here, even though I'm sometimes only unloading half at a time, and the train doesn't get completely emptied, because this one's at 5 and that one's at 8, even if these were balanced, they were both unloading at the same pace, right? Fully unloading. Unloading this train faster doesn't make any difference if the train's source doesn't have a need for another train. Now this train will come here and fill up, but unloading it faster isn't going to make a difference because I'm consuming it well enough. It's annoying, but it's irrelevant. So that's still got 4,000 on it, and it can hold, what, 64,000? So it was mostly empty. Now this is double, and nobody's coming here. Captain Sweet Roll. Well, I could make this Speed 1, the Speed 1 factory. Well, this is a Prod 1, but Prod 1? I mean, I could make the Prod 1 factory bigger, but I don't. I would need more green circuits to support it. I'm in kind of a bind on that. And if I'm going to do that, I really should. It's actually red circuits are what's the bind on that. And I've got some more on there. But it's being split between purple and blue, which makes it challenging to balance that. Yes. Green and red. So that's purple, and that's all the purple. And the prod mod that it needs, I think I increased this once already. Yeah, so I've already increased it once, so we're overproducing by a good amount. Captain Sweet Roll, my rail system is inside. It depends on where I am. Some places it's 2, some places it's 4. I use signals on the inside of the rails, but the intent is to keep things modular. If you really want to look at my blueprint or my rail system, I do have published blueprints. If you hit exclamation point blueprints, you can see a book that will take you there. So there is a train coming here. We haven't run out yet. Hopefully it makes it all the way here. Well, Captain Sweet Roll, I got bad news for you. You made a mistake in that you trusted the trains. The trains are programmed in the same way that bots are programmed. Bots are stupid. Trains are just as stupid. So to get over that problem, I have dedicated neighborhoods. What you've probably got, I'm just guessing, you've probably got a bunch of train stations that have names like iron pickup, iron load, and iron unload, like what I have here. Right? This is just called iron unload 242, and I've got a partner that is iron load 242. And so this train goes from load 242 to unload 242. Hang on, I gotta fix something. Actually, I gotta unscrew something, but... So these trains, I got 7 trains here, and I got 3 of these loaders, and I got 13 of these unloaders. And in this type of situation, it works okay. It's really easy to set up, and you don't have to do any management. The problem comes in when you have high volume and a lot of trains moving around. Intersections are the problem. But it's train stupidness that caused me to lose it. Here is what I call a neighborhood. There's a lot of local traffic. This plastic should go to this red, right? And that's it. Excuse me. And these greens only go to these blues and these reds. In order to make that happen, I had to segregate their names. And let me show you most easily over here in red and green science. Because this is a neighborhood. If you look at what's here, the rail network, there's only one rail in and out of this neighborhood. And that's right here. These green circuits, this green circuit train, does not ever leave this neighborhood. It never goes here. It's got a route that takes it from research, green circuit, or research, green science, green circuit loader, to research, green science, green circuit unloader. It doesn't just say green circuit loader, green circuit unloader. I've segmented my rail network by controlling my station names and my train routes. So this train only goes from here to here. And there is the green circuit unloader. Now, it would be great if I could have just said, and similarly, all these gears, green and red and green science, right? And I've got a red and green science iron right here. Red and green science iron loaders, red and green science copper loaders. And these trains, this copper train, even though it's way overkill, only goes to here and to here. Those are the only two that I've got 2 of those. All right, I got 2 loaders and 2 unloaders. It's overkill. But here's what happens if I don't do that. Let me get these out of the way. I've got a blue circuit build here that involves a red circuit build, and it needs plastic. Over here, I've got a simple red circuit build, and it needs plastic. And down here, I've got a red circuit build that needs plastic. Now, I don't have one central plastic thing, because that causes traffic jams. I tried that. I tried having all the plastic being built right here, and all the trains would jam up trying to get it in and out of the plastic, because it's coal and fluids and stuff. And there's no pacing to it. They just all get in each other's way, and then nothing gets through, and then the train networks are all jammed. So what I did was I said, this plastic can only deliver to this station. And I did that through naming and through routing. It only goes to blue science red. Because otherwise, what was happening is this plastic was trying to unload at this red circuit. And this plastic was trying to unload at this red circuit. And those two plastic trains would travel along this trail, and they would get in each other's way and slow each other down. No reason to do that. The only reason that that happens is because we as Factorio players are lazy and don't want to have to micromanage our trains. It shouldn't be that way, right? It'll figure it out. Well, proof's in the pudding. Trains are as dumb as bots, but they've only got rails to run on. So they don't look dumb until you put them under stress. And then you realize they're dumb. And they'll do dumb things. Result, for me, I carefully control where my trains are going. And I don't have any train problems. I've got some good distance I'm traveling. If I had not specifically named these things for what they're doing, and down here I could probably get away with it. I could probably name all of these copper and iron mines with some generic name for this area, like East Africa. And they would figure it out, because this train network isn't so big that they would screw me. No rogue trains. Yep. Because in all seriousness, this would happen, and you know it would happen. If this train stop was named just Copper Load 383, and this train had its instructions for Copper Load 383 and Copper Unload 383, you know as well as I do, at some point in time, that train would try and unload up here. And that distance, it would go all the way through this rail network, all the way up here. It would go from here all the way up to here, and in the time it took to get there, this function would run out of resources. That's what I tried to do, Captain Sweetroll. Here is military. Military science needs walls, grenades, and red ammo. So here's walls. Walls need stone. So where I built this, I built it relatively close to a copper and an iron and a stone. Now you have to know what you're building for. I don't need oil, so I don't have an oil outpost near here. So here's the stone that it needs. Here's some copper and here's some iron. And it needs some coal. So when you look at this, it's producing one product, military science. Excluding the fact that I've got to come across here for coal. Because I built over top of the coal here. This is the only entrance. But still, this is a neighborhood. It's just that it's got a freeway running through the middle of it. And if I had trains that went over tracks, multi-level trains, I wouldn't have that problem. So red and green science is an example of where I was pretty much free to design it how I wanted to. And in hindsight, what I should have done was probably use like this iron, this copper, this iron, this iron, and then just fed them in through the top. And then they wouldn't have any connection through here except for the red and green science trains. But I've got a little bit of crossing going over here, but it doesn't much matter. There's no traffic here anyways. This may as well be a dedicated train network. The only train that goes through here is the space science train when it's delivering to the research labs. So it's essentially a dedicated network. Yeah, and I have very simple schedules. Full, empty, and wait. I have a rule that says that you get fuel where you unload. So I have my refueling train. Every one of these has a refueling unloader. And this is where I do use bots, is all of these have a bot network that has like 10 bots in it. And they just drop off fuel. And if I really wanted to, I could replace those with belts. But I don't think the UPS hit. is that big. So you're still double, but you've got 500. You're none, but you've got 3.2. And you are almost full, so you're going to go off. Oh, cool. I think we're catching up. I think we are. If this delivers to the correct one, then I'll turn the machine on, because we'll be in good shape. Princess Casey appears to no place like a ghost. Whoa. Night Mango, thanks for being here. What does the nuclear fuel train schedule look like? Well, it's just a fuel train. It switches between. I want to watch this. Good. So far, so good. It's a. If we look at it, here's a place to look. So where is fuel? I make the fuel here. I have one centralized fuel processing system. It started as rocket fuel, and then when I got nuclear fuel, I added a nuclear fuel thing, and then converted them over to nuclear fuel. The schedule is go to the loader until you're full and you've been there for 5 seconds. That way I make sure that it gets fuel and doesn't run out. Go to the unloader until you're empty or you've done nothing for 5 seconds. Now the unloaders are all the same. They have a little bit of circuit network, which I've simplified in future versions of this. And what they say is full. Daniel, thank you for the alert and a chance to see my cat. What they say is set the train stop limit to 1 when the contents of these 2 chests goes below a threshold, in this case 20 or 10. So if there's not 10 fuel in both of these chests, then this train gets enabled, and those 2 trains are just, or this station gets enabled, and those 2 trains are just waiting. And so it's a little bit of logic, but it's not too much. All right, so far this is still on track to go where it wants to go, where I want it to go. How close are you to requesting another train? 3.1, you're close. Oh, Captain Sweet Roll. Bless your heart. That is going to be a journey. Well, circuits are logic. So I'm going to show you in a minute. If you hang out for a minute, I got to go dehydrate. I still don't know nuclear correctly. But when I get back, I will show you, Captain Squeeroll, how to set up what I just described using a simple train. Well, wow. Thanks, Princess Casey. Appreciate the sub. That's really cool. Salem Witch Trials, part of the history of dispensive magic. Yeah. All right, so this worked. All right. I'll be back in just a moment. And then I'm going to show you, I'm going to start launching some rockets, and I'm going to show you all some simple circuits.